break from this world. Running on a hamster wheel, but searching for something I can't feel. I just wanna be a lost girl.
Hello, and welcome back to A Night In Presents the podcast. We have a very special guest, and we are so happy to have you back. So let me introduce you to the one and only Alpha Betty Boop. Lauren Russell, how are you?
I'm doing phenomenal, awesome, and amazing.
As per norm, and it's lights, camera, action. I love it. I want the audience to get to know the woman first. So can we talk a little bit about you? Where are you from?
I am originally from Philadelphia, but I currently reside outside of the greater Philadelphia area. So I'm like 20 minutes outside of the city, west of the city, in this little town called Bridgeport, close to King of Prussia, which people can mainly point to King of Prussia because of the mall. So I'm like 7 minutes from the mall.
Yes. So talk to us about all of the Alpha Betty Boop brand. Talk to us about, let's start with, you have a boutique.
I do.
What's it called?
Alpha Betty Binz.
Alpha Betty Binz.
Alpha Betty Binz.
Can they find that online?
Correct. Yes, they can. And that's Alpha Betty Binz with a Z on Instagram.
Sure, we put that in the description. You guys want to check that out. So what does your boutique offer?
So we offer we offer my recycled clothing or things that I'm just no longer want. I use Alpha Betty Binz to kind of like recycle, reuse, and get rid of. Upcycle. I upcycle.
Upcycle, that's right.
Yeah, so I upcycle on Instagram sometimes, but I also use Poshmark as a platform to, sell, because there's a greater audience is more likely to be seen than just on my page. So I do welcome and invite people to drop donations off, and I'll use those to upcycle as well, just to generate more income. So it's another stream of income. It supplements, even if it's just for leisure things that I like to do. So yeah, that's what the Binz offers. People drop things off to me. I upcycle my things. Just, keep it.
Is it the same handle on Poshmark as it is on IG?
You know what it isn't. It's like Miss Boucher. It's Miss Boucher. All these names. I'm always reinventing myself. So it's like I started Poshmark a while ago, and then when I became this Alpha Betty, it's just like, okay. So it's actually Miss Boucher 30 on Poshmark, Miss Boucher 30, which is in the description of my Binz page on IG. You can just the link is in the description.
Follow the link in the bio.
Link in the bio. Yes.
Okay. So I think that it was a draw for me to find out that you resell clothing, because you are something of a fashion icon. Check her out. Check it out. The style queen. Look, show up. Don't play with us.
I enjoy fashion is a sport for me. Shopping is a sport for me, and I enjoy it. So.
And you do it well.
It's my DNA. It's from my mother. I get it. I get it honest. It's just the only right thing to do.
Shout out to Mama Roxy for that. Yeah. And that shows off your creativity in a way as well. Even though you're reselling these fabulous finds that you wore at one point. And, like you said, allow you to reintroduce yourself. Let's talk about Alpha Betty Boop.
All right.
Let's talk about her. You are a poet. Yes?
Yeah, I'm a poet.
A stage poet, no less, a performance artist. All right. How did you get into that?
How did I get into that? So at first, I just was a spoken word enthusiast, right? I just enjoy the sport of poetry and the art itself. From way back in the 90s, we've seen spoken word and poetry evolve over the years. And there was this event that took place. His brother, the Jordans, they gave this event every year. It was a poetry jam, the Touch of Class poetry jam every year. So back in 2017, I think was my first time. No, 2016 was my first time attending the event, and I fell in love. And I was like, oh, there is a poetry community within the organization. This is phenomenal. I used to write, but it wasn't like I was writing to perform. But then when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's something I might like to do. So my mother encouraged me, because she's just a fanatic for the arts. So she being momager, Shay, you need to do this, you need to do this. So the next year I went to their private cipher and it was pretty much like a low-key audition and they accepted me. And so 2017 was the first year that I did performance poetry for the Touch of Class Poetry Jam. So that was my first time probably in front of a large audience like that. And I was excited and I said, oh, I think that I got bit. I love it.
I was just going to say, that's where you got bit. You got the bug. So you loved it. What did you love about it?
I loved the audience reaction, right? I loved just that, instant gratification of like being one with the audience, reaction in real time. I loved the excitement. And it is definitely, it's a high that you get when you're up there in those lights and with the people screaming and really responding to you in such a way, right? And then afterwards, people were like reaching out to me, telling me, oh, I really can relate to that. Or when I came off the stage, I can really relate to that. And then there was people like, I really love that. Can I hear it again? And like people even looked me up on Instagram later and was like, oh, are you the sister that did this, that, and the third? Like I was looking for you. For me? Oh, say no more. Say no more. Say no more. Okay. This is it. So like that's how it really all started. I mean, my mother would always give events, in her backyard. She's always been one to entertain. And she would always use me as like the face and the voice behind the entertainment, right? So, I would do little things, but I think that was like the first time where I was just like, oh, this is it, being in front of like the friends in this large audience. And it's really a production that he puts on. So it is so like inviting and easy to get sucked in. If you
You're the second person who's mentioned the Jordans. And
yeah.
Okay. So this was a big thing.
Big thing. If you know,
Did you feel the nerves at all? Or did you just feel right at home and just smooth into it?
I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was nervous, and it was my first time. And before I knew what sacrificial lamb was, I was the sack that night. I was the first one to go. And I just was like, okay, I'm opening. I thought that was like the lame one. The lame goes first.
No. You warm the audience up. You get them ready. You get them hyped. You get the energy started. And I know you brought it.
Correct.
What was the first piece you did? What was your piece that night? Do you remember?
That night I did, it was called Dieter's Remorse. I was talking about dieting and my fight with weight. Yes, my fight with weight. Yes.
I think I've heard that one. Do you still have it?
It's somewhere. Sorry, that girl, to me, it's on the internet. It's actually on my page. It's on my page. That performance is on my AlphaBettyBoop page.
So you can check that out, audience. And night in audience, make sure you follow Alpha Betty Boop. Now, are there underscores or is it straight Alpha Betty Boop?
Straight Alpha Betty Boop.
Make sure you follow so you can go check out and go look through the reels. Go look through the highlights. I know sometimes we only look at the profile. We don't want to seem like a stalker. Artists and entertainers post their things for you to go back and look at those. It's not a problem. Nobody's going to judge. Nobody here is going to judge it. So listen, your first event behind you, how did you get ready for your next moves?
So my next move probably didn't take place again until 2019. So I didn't return
outside of Mama Rox's events or inclusive,
which was my mom's. It was my mom's event. The next event was my mom's in 2019, right? So it was the Jordan 17, and then my mom in 2019, she returned and she wanted to do like a little dinner party. In that dinner party, I performed again, these were more personal pieces. These were like the first time that I really committed to writing something, the second time, something concise and heartfelt, like something that was like my story, and it was me just purging and telling my story. These were the first two pieces, and I shared them.
Talk to us about that. Talk to us about what was the difference between the 2017 and the 2019, this evolution of Alpha Betty Boop? What happened to your creative side?
I was just still Lauren then. I was just still Lauren. Okay. I was still Lauren in 19. I just was finding my voice. I I was finding my voice.
We're gonna come back and tell y'all what that's about in a moment. Yes.
Put a pin in it.
Pin in it.
So, in 17, when the Jordans asked me to do it, I had like this piece that I had written in 2016, but it was like all over the place. It was just like this rant, if you ask me. It was like a rant. It wasn't concise. It wasn't, one theme all the way through. It was just like stating things that I was going through at the time in 16. And that's what I auditioned with. And they still allowed me to, to be a part of the show. But then I ran it through like I do through different ears. My little baby sister, because she'll be honest, raw, ugly, whether you like it or not. And she was like, oh man, well, you're all over the place. It's not really saying one thing. Is this how, I'm not a poet, but is this how it's supposed to go? So I was like, But
she's looking for coherency in the piece, and you're like, I just need to get some stuff off. I just needed to get it out here.
Right. I think cohesive is just like, well, you said this. Is this supposed to, are we supposed to end the same way? Like, what's the story? So that's when I started writing about the diet. So that probably was the first time that I really did talk about something personal, but it was funny to me. Like that's a funny poem. It's really funny. I joke, I make fun of myself and just how hard it is. So it was comedic, you know what I mean? Like, that's why Lex Pierre loves it, because it was so comedic, right? That's
He's actually told me that story. He said, Laura's got this piece that is so funny, and I want her to do that piece one day. Yeah. I've actually talked to him about that. Yeah, he mentioned that. It stuck. It definitely made an impression on him.
I think that's when we kind of like started to forge a relationship. Like, that's when I met him, I think, back in 17. So that poem, because he's like, I was looking for you. Where did you go? Because I went back and sat with my family, not up there with the artist. So yeah,
okay.
Made an impression. That was their first, I guess, putting a face to me in 2017. So, and I was talking about something personal, dieting, which is weight is just the whole thing. I say, this fluctuate is just too much with the fluctuating. I can't take it. So it was personal. So that was the first time me going inside for words about my personal struggles.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't realize it at the time.
And then obviously it was a universally felt piece.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's something that resonates. It's something that we all deal with, right? So yeah, that was the start of me finding my poetic voice. And I didn't know. I just was like, okay, this is fun. This was great. This feels good. And then I had something, a personal trial happen, and I had to take some time off. I had to sit on a bench, if you will, for a while. Had some discipline happening, right? In 2018. And then when I came back, I'm reuniting with my family, and my mom wanted me to write poetry again. That's when, she featured me at the dinner party in 2019. And we had attended the Jordans, but I didn't perform at the Jordans early in the summertime of 2019. But I did perform at my mother's show, like in the fall of 2019. And then, we were trying to get hostage at the time, but we couldn't. So I wound up being the feature, which again, we didn't know what that was. It's just like, I'm her child. They're featuring me as the poet. I'm the only one here. No one else can make it. When no one else can make it, I am the show.
You are the show.
I'm the show.
You are the show.
That's what Laura said. You don't gotta, get ready because you're always ready.
Stay ready. Stay ready. Everybody who knows,
They know.
You stay ready. Yeah.
I to be on all the time because,
what did you say? Get people what they want.
Give people what they want. Give people what they want. So that's
so you start honing that voice, yeah? You start honing that voice, and 2019, is that the piece that you started to see the work so there was some discipline internally that fed into the craft.
Correct.
Okay. So
from the pain, right, I was able to produce these beautiful pieces of work. And out came Sick Leave, which talks about,
which I love.
And then this other poem entitled Take a Bow. I don't really do that often, but it's on my page. Take a Bow. So, Sick Leave is about being disciplined by Jehovah, and Take a Bow is about leaving this relationship that I had been in with my children's father for, umpteen years, which was part of the reason why I was on sick leave. So I had to take a bow out, and come on home, So that's the whole song.
The journey and the growth. We love it. So there's a few places they can see Sick Leave, because that was the first time that I was on virtual stage with you, was CSW Family Ladies Night from 2021. So they can see that on the CSW Family YouTube page. If you don't follow CSW Family on IG, you want to do that. And you want to let them know that Lauren or myself is why you're following them so that they'll let you in. Okay, so you get access granted that way. And you'll want to make sure that you subscribe to their YouTube channel so you can see Lauren on that ladies night, but also on the CSW Family 3 show where she and her sons did a phenomenal job with a mother-son piece that I would love to hear about that evolution. Wow. So we went from purging, incoherent but heartfelt and resonating with all the people, to crafting and honing the lessons learned into lyrics and the stage, loving that, and these pieces that really speak to your experience as you're maturing spiritually and as a woman, as a fleshly woman and a spiritual woman, and making those changes work for you in the art. And then, are both of your children writers?
Just the one, just Harper.
Harper.
Yeah.
Just, I can see the influence, and I just wanted to shout out that you're doing a phenomenal job as a mom too.
I appreciate that.
We love to see it, especially when there's so much going on around that space. The family space is under attack, as everybody knows. How much of the impact of being a mom and a daughter and, the head of house in your house, how does that feed into your art?
Oh, how does it feed into my art? I think it fuels it because, as I become more emotionally intelligent, right, aware of how to manage my feelings, right? That's what poetry is for me. So while I've always kept a diary and I've always journaled throughout life, and I think just for myself to kind of look back and see how far have I come? What was I going through around this time? Am I still talking the same? Am I still having the same issues? It's time to move on. So I just kind of turn my journaling into, poetry. That's pretty much what happens. So if I'm frustrated and, I need to get things off, then I'll just start writing instead of, being frustrated with, why I'm a single mother, or I'll just write about it. And then I realize, and I come to learn that sharing that, I'm able to kind of release the energy in another way, instead of becoming so overwhelmed. And by doing that, I was able to gain so many people who could relate, right? Which again gives me listening ears, which gives me a community. I'm no longer doing it by myself. Yeah. So it actually just expanded my whole life and gave me this whole, village, if you will. It gave me, I was gifted this village just by talking about it, writing about it, and sharing it.
And I appreciate you letting me ask you such a personal question. I also appreciate, because I feel like I know you have that unabashed candor. This is me. This is Lauren. This is Alpha Betty Boop. But I wanted to ask that question because our audience needs to have that relationship to themselves and say, hey, I like that. I see that. I like it. Can I do that? Mm-hmm. Right. And then they need to have those examples of people who do it, and you do it. Mm-hmm. So I definitely wanted to put that out there, and I appreciate you letting us do that on the Night In stage. So also, because we talked about the growth of concepts, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about how your concepts evolved with the Poetry Corner. Is that where you started to see your concept evolution and the disciplinary of the self come into the disciplinary of the writing too? Did you start to see the writing come together a little bit more finer tuned with the Poetry Corner?
Yes.
Talk to us about the start of the Poetry Corner.
So the Poetry Corner started out just as a name for one night. It was only supposed to be for one night. We needed a name for the flyer. What are you going to call this? Again, my mother, she is the EP, the executive producer of the Poetry Corner, right? She is my momager. And when there's an idea, a concept, it's our concept and idea. It's her idea, but it's we need to do this. Oh, we speak French now?
Group project.
because again, I always, this is my story, so it's consistent. Hostage was a highly sought after feature. We didn't know what the whole feature thing was. We just loved poetry and we really wanted him. And again, everything took place in the heart of the city. We are outside of the city. We wanted to bring arts to the burbs where they're not really artistic in culture. They don't really do much. It's the suburbs,
A little exposure, a little cultivate.
A little bit. A little sprinkle, a little flavor. Okay, it's dry. Okay. So we were the ones that wanted to do it. So we booked this little small space. It was like in a restaurant, August Moon, this little Japanese restaurant. And it just happened to be on a corner. And when we put the flyer out, my mom was like, we have to call it something. And I said, well, if it's going to be a poetry event, let's call it the Poetry Corner. It was supposed to be one night. And from that, like I said, I'm always the face and the behind the brand, because on that is a whole thing behind the picture that was on it, like, Mom, all my assets is on the front. But I I am standing in front of Poetry Stand, but now, okay, this is not how you get patron. But we did. So that was the first time that Poetry Corner popped up. It was just like a pop-up. It was essentially supposed to just be a pop-up that night. And then because it was such a great response, it was a beautiful night, intimate. Music and poetry, because my mom loves music. We love live music. So with that, we got to do it again. It's always, I got up into the event. I'm never doing this. This is too much. Things are falling apart. People are canceling last minute again. You're right. Again.
Ain't you supposed to be on hiatus now? And ain't. Whatever. Moving on.
I take sabbatical. You be like, but I just look. This is what I said. I love this. I said when I came back, Jehovah, use my voice because I want to empower other women. I want them to know that it's okay to be this candid. I want them to know that it's okay to be this human, and you can still serve Jehovah. Jehovah will still love you with all the crazy, with all the loud. So I asked for this. This is why when I say no, sometimes I feel really bad, but it's only because I probably don't have time to produce product and I don't want to get trashed. So, but I asked for this. So it's like, I can't run from something that I asked for. So this is why sometimes I do come back off a sabbatical a little earlier than I'd like to.
Come out of retirement every few weeks.
Because I'm taking to it. But in the top of 2020, that was the first, if you will, the Poetry Corner. That was the first Poetry Corner.
That was its debut to the world.
It was the debut, January of 2020. That was the established date of the Poetry Corner, and we were going to do it again in April, but then we know what happened in March of 2020, which COVID, and that took Poetry Corner in a whole nother direction, and it just kind of like blew up. Actually, that's why the pandemic was super dope and amazing for us, because
the lockdown, because it just really kind of insulated the family, didn't it?
It really did. It really, it's like it's like a tea bag. Like when, you're going to get stronger when you're in the water, or you're going to, you're going to stay weak. But we definitely got stronger during the pandemic. I know I did. I think it was a time to kind of like just shut down and hone in on the things that were important. And I wouldn't have got to meet as many people as I did had that not happened.
Right. I know it was definitely an honor for me to have shared the virtual stage with you guys at Ladies Night and then for CSW3.
Yeah.
I was absolutely honored to be able to meet you in person and to meet your family. It was a blessing and a privilege, and you are unforgettable, sis.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about your favorites of the things that you create, of the writings that you create, the events, the spaces. Talk to me about what you love. What do you get the most out of?
I really get the most out of, by way of all those creative, aspects of, who I am. All the creative, all the fashion, the mom, the poetry, all those things. I really love the connections that they allow me to make. It's not even the art. It's not the art for me, but it is the relationships that I've been able to build on. It's the things that happen behind the words. You know what I mean? So
the art is a conduit to the thing that you love. And right. I'm sorry, but we are remiss because we cannot have this in this particular forum and not talk about the interior design. Look at
Oh,
this wall behind you. You
yeah.
missed you like when you were going through the things. I was like, oh, but wait, we didn't talk about that.
Oh, I
The
know. That's,
yeah,
I love design. I like fun, and I love like I'm gonna say odd. You know what I mean? I like things that are just odd and
eclectic. Yeah,
yeah, eclectic.
yeah.
Yeah, things that are just ornate. Like I just love things that are different. I
And
like
correct me if I'm wrong, but that's also the conversation piece, right? It's the conversation
true,
piece.
true,
So
true.
it's again a
But that's
conduit.
I speak through my creativity. I do. Like that's my personality. You'll see it screaming through how I dress and how my house looks, and definitely that's how I express myself. That's my way of expression, right? So how it's funny, like they say, how you dress is like probably how your personality is, and that's how my house is. Bright colors, red, love red, fiery, lots of red, fiery, right? And the black and white, I've learned because with having conversation with someone that a lot of times I like that stark contrast of black and white. It's like very classy, but yet it just clashes, but it comes together so well. But I feel like sometimes I'm a black and white person. Like it's either this or this, and I'm learning how to blend the two and see like the gray, because I'm not always gray. So that is my personality, fiery, but like it's either this or that, but it's not right. I'm just the best. Those who, if you know me, you know me. If you love me, you love me. To know me is to love me. You either gonna love me or you gonna hate me. I'm the choir taste. I just said I'm like mushroom.
We love you, whatever.
I'm of a different texture. I don't like mushrooms, but like a mushroom, I get you high. I'm good textured. Look, I'm textured.
Yes, you did. Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yes, my flavor definitely comes through in all
The
aspects.
flavor, yes,
Mhm.
yeah. And to your point, we had a sister who was on, and we'll have her episode somewhere around the same time. And we were talking about the way that the gifts Jehovah give us can't just be buried. We can't bury the gifts. So, while you want to take a sabbatical, while you want to take hiatus and you want to bow out for a bit, you can't. But when you do want that, what's the drive behind that? What's the drive that says, I'm just gonna chill.
Right. Sometimes just overstimulation, right? And lots of energy, lots of requests, lots of noise, lots of noise. So I just think to quiet some of it down, I'll just fall back. I haven't been able to do it much lately, but just to quiet some of it down and just kind of like reset and realize why I do this, and try to have some balance, with the little ones. Because of course, if I'm going hard in the community, then something is lacking. So I think it's just like a reset. Like, just give me a minute. Let me just reset and remember why I'm doing this. Because while you're out there, you're getting a whole lot of alpha
input, lots of inputs.
lots of it, lots of influence, lots of feedback. So I have to remember, and it's from everybody. And I just want to make sure that my mental stays in the right place, that my humility, I don't, I'm not that humble, but I need to get it to where it needs to be. So that doesn't always help me. I'm not the most humble.
Love the honesty. Love the honesty.
Right. So I'm not, so I have to make sure that I stay grounded, right? I stay
the black and white lines. You fold into the black and white lines and come out with the fire. Fold into the black and white lines and come out with the fire.
That's the part. That's the part. And remember, like, why I do it. I have to remember, like, why I do it. It's not, for the fanfare. It's like because I love that interchange.
And does that keep you from burning out to have those resets?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes, it keeps it fresh for me. It keeps it not boring, or what I know we'll talk about this, but what the workshop did was take me out of the light, take me out of the spotlight of like having to produce, but really, reproducing other artists, recreating, you know what I mean? Like just recreating other, poets. So it's like, I'd rather sometimes just sit back and listen and be, because it inspires me. You know what I mean? Like just as much as it may help them grow and get, and get good tools or whatever, it's like, oh, just listening to other people, because you have time to listen. You don't always have time to listen if you're on a lineup at a show, because you're so
you're focused on Let me get this right. Let me get this right. Let me get now. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess it up. Yeah. So that's a perfect segue. What all is the Poetry Corner doing these days?
These days, right? The Poetry Corner has, like, oh my goodness, erupted. We were just, like I said, a pop up. And from that, we became like this beautiful, loving little platform, like literally like a little corner, like on the corner in the hood, in your community. And what do you typically do on a corner? Like, just bust it up. Just vibe, right? So the vibrations are always going, you know what I mean? Educating, of course, by way of the poetry workshops, the performance workshops that, Kanaya and Avery head up that. And I'm kind of just like the dean of students, just the energy producer. That's it. Like, I'm just, hey, woo, oh, you need
That's perfect. The energy producer. That's perfect.
That's right. So I'm pretty much that for the workshops. A little student teaching every now and then. And what else do we do? We have the IG page. We've created an IG page for a following in order to kind of keep things concise and to be able to be a one hit for like both Kanaya, myself, Aaron. Like, so we kind of created this little little team so that we can kind of be more organized in creating it and organizing events. And I love to be touch. I love to touch like the people. So, by way of doing games through, because I think I'm Poper. I always want to give things away. You can give. Man, you don't even have money, but it's like, I want to give things away. So I've created this, persona, and I just feel like I'm going to do this with this platform.
I need you to run that back. You're who? You're who?
Poper, the Poper. You can give, right? And, who's going to run this again? Who got this month? Okay. But yeah,
so, if you'd like to donate to the Poetry Corner, you know that your monies will be well spent for the support of the community of poets and artists who are benefiting from this wonderful, wonderful forum. But proceed.
Yeah, so we love to entertain. I think just having fun, keeping people engaged, is keeping us all together. And especially now, like, people are starting to go back outside, but I don't want to lose what was created in that 2 years. So using the IG page and using our chat, our private chat on WhatsApp, just keeping the artists together so that we're constantly still creating, and like just stimulating one another and just encouraging one another, but not only just with poetry, just, culture, keeping up with culture, keeping up with what's good with the organization, and keeping, spiritually minded, accountability, you know what I mean? Holding each other accountable, constantly pouring in, to people, esteem building. That's what we're doing. Confidence building on the corner. Like, it's just all of that. That's what happens on the Poetry Corner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what I heard sounds like family.
That's what it is.
That's what and if somebody in our audience, in our Night In Presents audience, is interested in joining the Poetry Corner family, they should start with your IG page, I believe, yes? Mm-hmm. And coming to the events and getting acclimated to the vibe, because you want to always be the person who brings something to the table, right? But then you get to take away from the table. Like she said, there, like Lauren mentioned, there is an exchange that happens, right? And you're constantly being fed. Even if you're just listening, you're being fed. And those particular brothers and sisters, the Poetry Corner, my experience with them has been such that you eat good.
Right.
Eat good spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You eat good, and sometimes
we be physically. Don't forget the most important.
Yeah, because there are a few chefs in the corner.
You're an honorary chef too, Cherie.
Oh,
Wait. Yes, but there are some chefs, some people who love to cook. I'm like, 'cause I don't like to cook, but some people love to cook. So we are definitely a little well-rounded group here. Everybody has a
group.
I love it, right? I love it. Like you said, it's a family. And when we got together back in December, it felt like I'm like literally was crying because I don't come from a large family. We don't have a large family. And because it's just me, my mom, and my sister that's right under me, we're the only ones that's in the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets lonely sometimes. And you see the family reunions on TV and people with large families and the t-shirts and this. So I created that for myself because it's something that I wanted, and Jehovah blessed me with it. I asked for it, he gave it to me because I didn't come from there. So from the discipline to learning how to be obedient to Jehovah and going through the pain and leaning into the discipline and the pain and all those things, it just produced all of these beautiful and amazing fruits, you know what I mean, that now I'm able to just really benefit from. And I really love the evolution of Lauren. I just love who she is right now. Alpha, call me whatever. Lauren, Alpha Betty, your best friend, your sister, your auntie, your mother, your grandmother, whoever.
All the hats she wears.
All the hats. I just love who Jehovah has allowed me to become. So gave me the time, and it took and patient with me in order to become this poet who's just a human being. You know what I mean? Allow me to be human, but still I'm able to be so fruitful.
Absolutely. And you talked about Mark 10:30, the houses of the brothers, the sisters, the fields, the persecutions with it, but yeah, everlasting life. So you also are speaking to identity, which is a big part of being a creative. Being a creative often starts with, I'm looking for myself. Or like you said, I'm looking for my voice, right?
Or in the world, what do we know? Purpose. Purpose is a big thing.
Purpose. Fulfillment. Are you feeling like at this point you've reached a pinnacle, or are you feeling like you're just getting started?
I feel like I am just fresh out the gate. Yes. I feel like there is so far to go and so much more to do and so much more to learn. And but like you said, I feel like that I have stepped into my purpose, because if I wasn't in purpose right now and living on purpose out loud, I wouldn't be thriving. You know what I mean? So this is how I know that he is blessing what I'm doing and it's purposeful, right? It's affecting the people in a way that I wanted it to affect them. You know what I mean? And I don't have to wear a mask. Number one, I don't have to wear a mask. I'm received and accepted for who I am.
Yes,
respectfully, right? Within the confines, of course, of law and principle, but I'm still able to be myself and not feel like smothered and stifled. And that's why I'm able to experience Mark 10:30, because before, when I said I couldn't see it, I was fighting it, right? I was fighting. So it's just awesome and amazing. Just everything is just working out. Jehovah is working it out for me, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity to be doing what I love to do.
Yes. And I think as artists too, what we experience comes out in our art and gives people something, even if they're not interested in becoming creatives. Like you said, we eat from the table too. Even if you're not interested in becoming a creative, you still may want to follow the Poetry Corner for what they put out, because there's so much to be gained from modern examples of faithful ones who are doing the things that they love to do and doing it well, and not burying the talents that Jehovah gave them, but doing them in such a way that it brings honor and glory to Jehovah's name and really beautifies the spiritual paradise even more so, especially as we come to see what's going on with the governing body and how they're using the arts. The videos, that's all creativity. Somebody's writing a script, somebody's designing a set, somebody is designing costumes, somebody is doing the hair and makeup, and somebody is writing the words that are being said, that are being interpolated based on the scriptures and based on accurate knowledge of Jehovah. And so all of that comes into play when we are in our little houses and we're entertaining ourselves and we're recreating and refreshing ourselves to be able to go out here in this spiritual warfare and handle it. Right? So don't be shy about meeting the brothers and sisters at the Poetry Corner, meeting AlphaBettyBoop. She's an amazing sister and a heartfelt one. I can say that's probably the quality about you that I would personally say is the one that reached out to me, is that big heart. What would you say though? Because this is about you. What would you say is the quality that everybody should take away from, if you don't take anything else away from this A Night In podcast, what they should take away from meeting AlphaBettyBoop Lauren Russell?
That's a good question, right? So I thought about that earlier, and I said it was this word. I had made this word to put this word together. What was the word? Of course, I forgot the word. I said that this is me, right? So this is me. So sometimes I'm just a big ball of energy, right? So like this nervous energy, but I'm fun loving, right? And I said that I'm just the nervous energy, fun loving.
The nub, ladies and gentlemen, that is poetic license at its best.
Yes, I am nervous, fun, love.
That's a t-shirt. That's a t-shirt. I need to get that on a t-shirt. Yes.
That's Alpha Betty. That's Alpha Betty. That's the vibe.
Yes.
You're gonna get it all. I wake up like this. I wake up like this. Just good energy. Good energy.
I love that. You have the opportunity, and the floor will be yours. If you would like, we would love to hear a few pieces of your work.
Sure. I did come prepared to do a couple. One, I've only really done it less than a handful of times. I wrote it for our 2020 show, Party with a Pen, because I needed to open with something fresh, because everyone had got so used to hearing sheeby. And I was like, so she wanted to talk about like what poetry meant to me, and like what it did for me, and the community that had embraced me, which at the time was, soaring. It was City Series, and we were heavy in that City Series community, and they just really like embraced me and helped me to really find my voice, and see where I could go. So from that, I wrote this piece entitled The Moniker. So I'll share that with you.
Let's go. The moniker.
The moniker. Poetry, by any other name, would be love, would be peace, would be redemption, would be robust energy without a leash. It would be emotions on the run. Is your train like mine? Is your brain like pinwheels taking you captive in the night while ideas high speed chase you down in your sleep and hold you at ballpoint? What if I told you I got booked? Yes, papermate number 0.8.0.1. I was taken into custody by the pen, as if I'm dangerous, as if I pose threat to society. I am. Vic keeps me close, handcuffed. It has confined my wrist, inked my fingerprints. Now my forensics are legit. I am licensed to carry vowels and metaphors, and if being a conversationalist is a crime, then I be convict. It's warranted. Without warning, I shoot off at the mouth. My tongue is the trigger. Slinging consonants is my currency, and currently, my poems are my release papers. I exercise my rights when I write about being human, being imperfect, being vulnerable. HIV, pre-COVID, we've been infected. I am a broken vessel from being on the run from this system. So know that this assignment is God-given. By the use of evocative imagery, figuratively, I don't take this thing lightly or for granted. This gift is wrapped in my DNA. You see, when life punctures, blood is the ink and paper is the skin. If these kidneys could talk, they would leak records that replenish the beat of the most abused artery. But it's the art for me, and I don't bleed in vain. Pain is the syringe that injects this lyrical binge in my ink pen. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention how spoken word has been the tightrope I walked across to balance my self-esteem. So if being a proverbial juggler that colors outside the perforated lines and is shuffling the alphabet is a crime, well, touche, your girl is guilty. So you know where to kite me. I am somewhere planning the escape from this imprisoned psyche. U.S. Govy counts me as Lauren, but my cellies, they address me by Alpha Betty. That's the moniker.
Okay, that was awesome. That was amazing. Let me add pen here because I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to show this face that I have been making at these. Where am I? There I am. At these lyrics.
Oh,
Ah, okay. I am big. That organ run.
um,
Oh my goodness. It was awesome. I love the work. So when was that one written again?
2020.
2020.
December of 2020. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I don't think I've ever heard that one before.
No, probably not. No.
When
I
did you perform that one first?
First I did for the show for Party with a Pen. That was our last show of 2020. The Poetry Corner's last show in 2020 was
Oh, okay. So that was the theme for that show, Party with a Pen, but it
Party
was
with a
the
Pen.
Poetry Corner show as well.
Correct. Yeah, it was the
Right.
Poetry Corner presents All Black Everything Party with a Pen. So everybody had to wear black and we party with a pen.
All
Everybody.
right.
Yep, that was the first.
Oh my goodness. All the rest. It was so cool. And the organ run was probably my favorite because and then the leak in the artery and the vein and not in vein. I was like, ah,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. So as you're writing,
She told me to start. She's the one who suggested that I perform it recently at Cadence on the Corner when she did the pop-up Cadence on the Corner, which was a part of the workshop. And I was like, oh, I forgot what was even in here. This is all right. Let me, so she kind of made me open it up again. So I said, let me do it tonight.
nice. I'm gonna pause just a moment. Do you want to change your lighting because you have like a design across your head with the sunlight now?
Okay. Oh, I sure will. Should I move on?
Okay.
Okay now?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good. You're even toned again. Okay. So I'll cut that part out and we'll pick back up at oh yeah, cadence at the corner. We definitely need to dive into that. We got to get into it. So thus far, for this quarter, the Poetry Corner has established so many awesome events. And it seems like it's just
I know.
nonstop.
Yeah.
We love it. We love it. We don't want to lull.
I know. We don't
Shout out to Tim.
Strike while it's hot. Strike while it's hot.
Strike while it's hot. So name them off. Name them off the events that you guys have had thus far this quarter 2022.
Yeah, so I think so the poetry, first of all, the Poetry Corner John IG page just went up January of this year. So it was the launch of the IG page. Kanai went live earlier in the year, and then we said, well, it's time to do a workshop. So then from just the idea was conceived last year when we did like a pilot. It was offered for free, and just to kind of see like how people would take to it, and they loved it. So this time it was offered with tuition, at a cost. And there were 4 young ladies who took advantage and invested in their voice and their gifts, and it was just phenomenal.
I heard rave reviews. about it.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So from that, we did Find Your Voice 5, the 5 performance workshop, headed by Avery and Kanaya. That was wonderful. That started at the end of April. I think the first class would be at the end of April, and we did like 5 weeks. With that was offered 3 official weeks with the coaches. They had some off days too as well. They offered them some auxiliary classes, and then they had Corner Your Confidence with me one night, which was an intimate ladies' night. Beautiful. Definitely lots of tears. Lots of tears, but we definitely got down and dirty with the things that cause us to be fearful of our voice, that causes us to be not so confident and to shy away, and talked about why do we even write. So that's what took place, which from Corner Your Confidence, it will become there will be some spinoffs, and we'll do this and offer it as a series for just ladies, where we'll just do some self-esteem maintenance, right?
So we're going into life coaching. Poetic life coaching.
Or women empowerment. We're just trying to, I just want our ladies, the men, what I love about the Poetry Corner WhatsApp chat is that it's men and women on there, so you get both aspects, the women's point of view, the male point of view, and just seeing it's not just women that suffer with self-esteem or all these things, it's men too, but to see both sides, it's just a beautiful thing that we're able to just keep encouraging one another and just showing the relevance and just how we can grow together. clean though, no provocateur. It's just so clean. And I just, it's amazing to me, of course, because, I grew up different. So just to see how we're able to dwell together and just love clean, beautiful. But for just sometimes I just want to be with the ladies and just show that, we're the bomb, you know what I mean? Because we've been stripped so much growing up. So it's important for us to see ourselves. So that's what Corner Your Confidence offers. Some self-esteem maintenance and boosting in ways that we can continue on. I think it's important to touch on that, every so often.
So the Corner Your Confidence series, is that only for enrollees to the workshop, or should our Night In audience look into that if that's just something that they're interested in?
Yes, they can look into that. Definitely hit the IG page for that, for inquiries. But no, it's definitely offered to women, to any woman who's interested.
So I just want to spend just a smidget of time on this subject because we won't need to go too much into it. A nominal fee for the services of a person's time is something that we all understand. Mm-hmm. We all get it. Mm-hmm. We all of us have jobs. Mm-hmm. We all have spiritual responsibilities. We all have families. We all have things that we're doing that take priority. Mm-hmm. And the nominal fee reflects the fact that we appreciate the work that they're doing and pulling that to the side for us to give to us. So by all means, pray about it, reach into that heart and have harmony with the fact that that's what you're doing. You're supporting the ongoing commitment that these brothers and sisters are dedicating to you. That's all the time we're going to spend on that because we understand the assignment. Yeah. So I want to say thank you because this opportunity to sit with you and get to know everything that you got going on your plate, the woman, the poet, the mother, the sister, daughter, friend, sibling, Alpha Betty Boop, the performer, Alpha Betty Binz, the fashion reseller. Mm-hmm. All of these hats that you wear just really helps us all to draw closer to you and really look forward to everything you have to come in the future. Is there anything else that you want to perform for us before we go?
Yes, I do. I'm going to do this last piece before we wrap up because this is just like...
I ain't going to be mad. Don't threaten me with a good time. I'm going to have to spend them.
It's my most recent piece of work that I'm most proud of, that I think landed well when I first performed it at... Poetry Corner and Hostage Presents New Ink in December of 21. Here comes my son. And it was entitled Homeowner. This piece is near and dear to me because 2021, June of 2021, I'm coming up on my house anniversary, right?
Yes.
Coming up on my house.
New homeowner. That's a hat.
Yes, that's a hat. That's a hat. Oh, girl. Oh, but anyway, yes, that's a hat. So my house anniversary is approaching. So I wrote this piece entitled Homeowner, right? Homeowner. While it's metaphoric, it's definitely literal as well, because I had to become owner of my home, right?
So before you get started, I'm hearing lots of feedback around the speaker.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to during your piece. So yeah. I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to remove my pen and we'll let you get into Homeowner.
Mommy duties, mommy. Yeah, here he goes.
Hey, Harper.
Hello. Can you give me like five minutes is all I need, please? Excuse me, sir. All right, let's get into it. Homeowner. I was 3 when I watched my father from the 3rd floor window walk by holding another woman's hand tighter than he ever held mine. I didn't realize that in that moment, growing up fatherless would be part trial, lots of errors, and remainder DIY. See, my daddy left right before he taught me how to build home on crack foundation. Selfish much, considering he was a master at reconstructing new houses out of broken homes. He left my home in pain. Stained glass windows were the most difficult to clean. Even with discreet treatments, the streets reeked of daddy's fading fingerprints. My mom would play DJ as she remixed Goodnight Moon with whatever lullaby daddy left behind. So bedtime was more like dread time because I was in no rush to wake up stuck in a bad dream. Mama would tuck in my inquisitions, kiss my memories goodnight, and I would proceed to pillow fight with abandonment. When apologies would add up like scorecards, like board games missing all the important parts. Sorry, not sorry sounds less like a game, but more like a life sentence, doesn't it? Daydreaming about where daddy went. I remember when he told me I was planned. He said, "Baby girl, you were named after me." And the most fitting response was, highlight the part of the plan when you plan to leave. Because you left me bereaved at your departure. I will forever wonder if you had plans to come home and claim me. It wasn't until later I learned that providing, professing, and protecting was contingent. And I was just a collateral damage dependent, left with no blueprint on how to think like a lady but still protect myself from a man. My daddy left me beauty. He left me poetry. He left me music, but forgot to stick around long enough to teach me what to do with it. He forgot to reassure this engine that she could. So I would seek the approval from blind men who hid from their own reflection because it resembled a father's protection. I mean, it's that simple. Daddy skipped out on Uno, so I relied on Jack to be my rock and supply my paper. But I have always had the power to cut the strings. I mean, how long will I allow Geppetto to hold the mortgage to my lot of land is the question. But I don't think anyone can understand how fear follows me home at night, flashing its lights in my rearview mirror, insistent on getting my attention, so I invite him in. Then doubt greets us at the front door, turns the knob of indecision, hesitation hovers in my foyer like chandelier. Its glare causes my perceptive powers to escape my body like pheromones, causing a chemical malfunction internally. Senses dulled, PTSD wounds me, usually looting the confidence in my thinking ability. The area is sensitive from scar tissue, disabled from its use, or better yet, no use at all. Mold inhabits the walls of my cerebral artery, inhibiting independent functionality. You see, my mind, it plays tricks on me. It nitpicks at my common sense. My mirror mocks me, snickering at my scarcity and inadequacy, hides behind my grin. Calls me joker in jest. Endless hours spent soliciting second opinions as if my yes isn't enough, as if my guessing doesn't add up, borrowing your 2 cents as if my 20 isn't grand enough. I am tired of groping for everybody else's lenses as if their vision is clearer than mine. Dear body and mind, trauma has been the bed you've laid in for decades, the guilt you married, the womb you carried, the children you birthed. When will you stop nurturing the pain of your past? It is time you clean out your closet and make space for your mistakes. Shake the dust off the feet. Stop recycling horrific early childhood memories. They are turpentine designed to strip you of your happy. Place them in a trash bag where they can no longer address you at your new address. You are home now. So decorate like you are going to be there for a while. Hang scripture in your kitchen to replace previous fixtures so that every time you flip the switch, it's a reminder of God's forgiveness. You have been forgiven. So live, because lie and lust don't live here anymore. Soak in your singleness, build a do-it-yourself shelf, and place on it codependency. It is time you evict the insecurities. We are living in the age of self-care, so I highly recommend you start self-caring and caring for self. I wish a Nephilim would cause me to foreclose on my God-given plot. The contract is clear. The details concrete. Don't get in your own way of breaking ground on everlasting life. Thank you.
Unmute. Okay. Every single time you do that piece, it is transporting. It reaches so deep into the soul and the spirit. It reaches into your audience. Whether or not you are a fatherless child, you get that piece. The heart and the hurt in that piece is palpable. It is tangible to see the love that you have for yourself continuing to sprout through the surface, the rocks, and it's going for the sun. It's going for the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you a whole flower, man. And a strong one at that. It's a beautiful piece. Every bit of that piece just feels like raw emotion. It's enough.
It's enough. Over enough.
But it's love for self. It's the nervous. It's the love for self, and that's such a critical part of what it is to be a poet and artist, to be able to teach other people what it looked like. That's what it looks like. It looks like going and processing those hard emotions. It's processing those hard thoughts. And I hesitate to ever call them negative, because those are the feelings that come to us as defenders.
Correct.
They come, that anger, that pain, the shame, even sometimes, and guilt, and what did I do? Those feelings come to us to protect us, right? It's unfortunate that the circumstances come with them that create the need to. But when we need to speak about them, because this system will always present a circumstance, poetry is an answer for that. And if you can't write it, you can always hear it. You can always witness it. The Poetry Corner, AlphaBettyBoop. There are others that are in those collectives that do individual projects and solo projects. Please, by all means, eat at the table, because it's just, I mean, if you felt that piece, please reach out, provide your feedback in the comments, like, subscribe, and then of course, like, follow, share on the IG page, and like, follow, share on any event pages that they pop up on their page, because that feedback continues to fuel their energy to keep giving you what you need as well. Am I wrong, Steph?
Nope, you are.
Thank you so much for laying your heart out here for us. It was really open heart surgery that we witnessed every time you spit. This is me. It's a sacrifice. So in a way, you're still a sacrificial lamb. It's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice, that a labor of love, and we appreciate it so much. Thank you for joining the Night In Presents the podcast, Lauren, AlphaBettyBoop, Russell.
A delight, and thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. We look forward to seeing your Night In Presents audience at the next podcast. Stay tuned, because you're going to want to wait and see what's about to happen to you next. If you haven't felt this ride, I think you have, but you certainly will. I'm going to stop recording now.
Living for weekends, wishing I could take a break from this world.